Hey guys, Zom Fox here, and today we're going to be doing the Week 4 picks for the 2023 USFL season. Last week was a very weird week where we had a lot of games that ended up going the opposite way everyone expected. This caused a huge shift in the power rankings and a huge shift in the dynamic of each of these games for this week. So without further ado, let's get started. The Houston Gamblers versus the Philadelphia Stars of Detroit is the first game of the week, with the Stars being 2.5-point favorites and the over-under 46.5. This is a tough game to call. I think this is one of the tougher games to call. The reason is it's just weird, okay? The Gamblers' offense is really good, but their defense is really bad, and the Stars have looked very mixed across all 3 weeks. At times, their offense will look great, at times, it'll look terrible, and same with the defense. But I think that overall, the Gamblers end up winning this. I think the consistency of the Gamblers' offense is going to be what gets them over the edge to win this game. And with the over-under 46.5, that's a tough one. I think that the over-under for this game is definitely a tough one to call because you're talking about a really consistent offense versus an inconsistent one. But the Gamblers' defense is so bad that I'm going to go with the over. I think that you'd be crazy not to, just because the Gamblers' offense seems to be very good. And while the defense is opportunistic for the Stars and getting turnovers, I think that overall the Gamblers are just a bit better on offense compared to the turnover-ish nature of the defense of the Stars. I wouldn't be shocked if the Gamblers put up 30 and the Stars put up over 20. I think this is going to be a 50 to 60 point game total. That's just my pick, so that's what I'm going with the first game. Then the second game, we have the Showboats versus the Panthers. This one is, okay, let's be real. Panthers are 6.5-point favorites. The over is 44.5. I think we all know who we're picking. We're picking the Panthers to win this game and cover the spread. And the over-under, I'm going with the under. It's just, it's hard, but the Panthers' defense is going to have a bounce back from last week. They gave up a lot of big plays that they won't give up this week, and that'll help the Showboats offense go down a bit. And the Panthers, well, their offense has been really solid up until last week, but I think that overall Panthers are going to end up putting like 20 to 30 points in this game, whereas the Showboats, I wouldn't be shocked if they only put up like 10. So I think this is going to be an under, but the Panthers, I think, easily take this W. The third game of the week is the bigger one. This is the New Orleans Breakers versus the New Jersey Generals. This all of a sudden is now the game of the week. By far. This is essentially to be the number one team, just like last week was with the Stallions Breakers. And while not everyone has the Generals at 2, I do. So I'd say this is the 2 best teams in the league going against each other. This is to see whether or not the Generals are repeating the same script of last year, lose the first game, then go on a huge win streak. And the Breakers are 2.5-point favorites with the over-under being 44.5. I think this is an easy over. Let's be real. The Breakers' defense is terrible. Look, you can say that, they get the job done when it matters. No, they don't. It's just the Breakers' offense does enough to get them the W. The defense is very suspect, and against the Generals, who seem to have gotten all their stuff together with, Trey Williams and Darius Victor both fully back together, and we have DeAndre Johnson being firmly entrenched as the starting quarterback, that offense is going to be really good. I see this game as potentially being another Stallions-Breakers game where it ends up being like 40 to 30 something. I think this is an easy over, and I think the Generals easily do win this as well. I think the Generals do pull off and win this, naturally covering the spread. The Generals are just a better team, I think. Their defense is much better than the Breakers' defense is, and their offense is a bit worse, but now that they're fully together, I wouldn't be shocked they actually outperform the Breakers' offense. So I'm going to go with the Generals winning this in a high-scoring over game. Then the last game is the Stallions versus the Maulers. Stallions are 8.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 43.5. I'm going to go with the under on this one, and I'm going to go with the Maulers covering the spread, but I think the Stallions win. Look, the Stallions are really injured. The Maulers' defense is good enough to hold the Stallions' offense down a bit, and I think that the Maulers can hold them to about 20 to 25 points, but I think that's all that's going to be needed. I think the Maulers will only put up their usual 15 to 20. So I think this game is going to end up being about 40 total points, and I think the Maulers end up covering the spread, but they still end up losing. So those are my picks for this week. As for overall, last week was horrific. I got basically just a couple over-unders right, and that was basically it. Everything else was really bad. So hopefully this week is a nice bounce back. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. We do at least 3 videos a week during the USFL season. And as always, have a great night.